Here we are. Another week. Three guys, many games. We got a special guest this week. All-American, legend, Cornell, two-time national finalist, Tim Goldstein.
Player of the year.
Player of the year.
Team
Let's
USA.
get a little
resume. I think I got to do these introductions. I don't know.
Can he be a nice father of three? I mean, why does that got to be
right.
who he is?
Most importantly, father of current Cornell player Ryan Goldstein, freshman, who's having a tremendous year. And welcome, Tim. Thanks for joining us today.
Let me tell you, I couldn't be happier to join three fabulous guys and talk lacrosse. We're gonna have a fun time.
Well, what I really thought you were going to say, Tim, was it's great to be here.
Hi, Vinny. Very good, man.
Well, it's
like
always
that,
nice to know the Sombrado brothers have always been big Cornell fans, and obviously it's a connection to Richie, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
That's how we have to start the conversation.
Well, Vin, go back a little bit with your first interactions with Richie Moran. Speaking of that,
Oh, God. My first interaction.
Here we go. He went dark. He went dark again. Go ahead,
Hall
Vincenzo.
called it. Dougie Hall.
Richie hit it
called
with lightning.
I think Dougie Hall knows he's looking to get on next episode. We'll have to put him on. But my first interaction with Richie, I guess, I was coming out of Chaminade, which back then was not exactly a powerhouse, although it is now. And the Catholic League was just starting when I was in high school. Even I get calls left and right. But anyway, so Richie, I wanted to go to Cornell. My grades, I guess, were just not quite good enough, and maybe it was a question of him pushing with admissions. But what he had said to me was he wanted me to go to Nassau, which was he had a lot of success with guys coming by way of Nassau prior, to me coming out of high school. To Craig Jagers, Brian Conroy. There was a bunch of guys who went to Nassau first. And were great players for him. I didn't want to go to Nassau, not to belittle Nassau, but I really wanted to be in Division I from my freshman year. So I got an opportunity with Hofstra, and I took it. But, of course, years later, with his involvement with U.S. teams and all of that, I got very close to him. He had that kind of personality. It was easy to be attracted to Richie because he had a magnetic personality, and not only his success, but his people skills were off the charts. He really made you, whether you went to Cornell or not, he made you feel like family. And so it was great that I was able to establish that relationship right until he passed, which was very sad day and a big loss for lacrosse, as is a bunch of other guys too. But as the great Peter Cohn used to call him, the fabulous Richie Moran.
Hey, listen, the one thing about Richie, family, right? It wasn't just the Cornell players. Vinny was part of the family. There was so many people that you would be coming and going that you had no idea, but Richie made him feel part of the family. And the best part about Richie, quite honestly, he loved to win. And when we would win, he'd celebrate in the locker room. He'd dance to music. And what I kind of shared with Connor Busick, same thing. It's like, listen, it's a tough racket. You got to enjoy the wins. You don't just say, hey, we could have done this better, done that better. That's Monday. Saturday, whatever the game is, enjoy the victory. It's the way, the credo that Richie had, and I believe it's a good way, because if you're not enjoying the victories, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah.
let me ask you this, Tim. Because the Cornell obviously has such a rich history. When you think back, Cornell wins the very first national championship under the tournament format, 1971, right? Comes back a number of years later with maybe arguably some of the greatest teams ever in the late 70s with Eamon McEnany, has a historic win streak going. That streak gets broken in 1978 by Johns Hopkins in the championship game after they've won two consecutive, almost going for the third. And then since that loss, it's been over the many years, 5 straight championship losses, like trying to bring it back to that greatness. Yourself, you were involved in two of them. Then there's that, really heartbreaking run, because they really should have won the game when Rob Pennell was a freshman. That was just a crazy game. And then more recently, a game where they played the undefeated Maryland team, but really showed well in that championship game. Do you think that the current players and the current team like feel that history? I know they know the alumni is there, but do they feel the weight of like trying to get over the top and bringing Cornell back to that past glory?
Yeah, I think it's a good
Too
question.
old.
It's a good question. I think that, obviously you said Rob Pennell's freshman year. That was an anomaly. I mean, that's a 99.9% win that went the other way. So if you put that in the books, it kind of probably cures that long, long period of time. I don't think the current players have any real weight of the past not winning. I think what it is, the current players know it's the game's expanded. There's so many better players, so many better programs, that it's a tough grind to get through to that winning championship. And look at some great teams that Maryland's had, right? They won one, right? It's about so many other variables to get to the finish line, and it's health, right? It's not just guys that in or out, but it's guys that are nicked up, that are playing 100%, they're playing 80%. But I think the current Cornell teams, that since now I have a kid that's a freshman, but I've been following since I've been playing, have some intangibles that can maybe put them over the top. They got a great locker room. They're gritty and a very young coaching staff that, every day is focused on being a complete team and getting better. So I think that, this stretch starting this year, or maybe a couple more years, feels like they got a lot of talent and things can go their way, because I think some of the COVID and fifth years and transfers, they have some positive and they have some negatives on a lot of these teams. So I would say, to answer your question, I don't think they feel any pressure. It's just it's just like NCAA basketball. It's hard to get to that final winning, putting the trophy up there. And just look at the teams that won in recent years. It's been one pipe one way they win, one pipe way they lose, one turnover with a minute left. And, you can go on and on about that. Look at Bresci's team that won in Carolina. Is just, two pipes here and one save there. So it's just got to go all right. And I think this year has some of those, maybe Notre Dame has a little bit of the most complete team, but who knows what injuries hit them? Who knows what pipes go one way versus the other? So I think it's the best part about right now, starting Selection Sunday, is everybody's excited more than ever. It's like, hey, I can't wait to see the bracket. I can't wait to watch these games, because I think this year and maybe in the future, anybody can win.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see if anybody can win. It just seems like we say that a lot. Obviously, we say that more now than ever. But then if you look historically, you look down the list, it seems to be the same. It seems to be the same handful of teams. Like, for example, the Ivy League. If you go back all the way back to those late '70s of Cornell teams that I'm talking about, Yale is the only one, and that's one time in all of those years that an Ivy team has won the championship. That Yale, broke through that one year. So
Well,
it is.
Princeton. Yeah, Princeton won multiple.
Oh, yeah, Princeton, right? You had the Princeton dynasty, right?
Yeah.
But I guess I'm talking about since the Princeton dynasty, Yale's been the only team to break through
From the Ivy League, yeah. And
from the Ivy League.
I mean, look, the Ivy League for sure, especially in these COVID years, is at a disadvantage that they're not getting 5-year guys and all of that. These teams that have won, there have been key guys like Notre Dame last year, as good as they were. I mean, they had the kid Tevlin and I forget the defender's name, who was very good. Starts with an F, I think.
Fake from Yale.
Those guys, they really add a lot to a team, just maybe that little bit that puts them over the top. I think that Syracuse, with the two Princeton guys that they have, I think they won the other day. Those guys were very impactful in that game down the stretch. They're seasoned guys, 5-year guys. They make a difference. I always had these conversations with Smalls as lacrosse players, and I tell them, you think a guy, obviously physically you're probably at maximum capacity when you're in college because you're playing every day, you're training, you're lifting, especially now the way they do it. But as far as knowing how to play the game, some guys who are great players didn't really learn how to play till they're almost, 28, 30 years old.
It's true. What do you think, Smalls? You got a question,
Well,
Timmy?
what I do think though, I want to jump right into this year with all the teams being selected and getting in. These two clowns over here, and I love them both dearly, but they are clowns. They're brother brothers.
Here we go.
I got to deal with them every day, Timmy.
How the guy always
I got
has to
two
talk.
liberals,
He wants to
two
make an
liberals, and
impact.
one
He
conservative.
stayed nice and quiet for as long as he could, but then he's got to start.
Let me just
Okay,
let me just get in there.
Bring it, Smallsy.
I want to pick on them a little bit, and I love them dearly. They are the goats of lacrosse, but they also can be criticized as well. And here's my thing with them: they want 40. They do favor the ACC. They're going to jump in and say they don't, but they favor the ACC. They have some close friends and family in there. I understand it, they want 4 teams from the ACC in the tournament, and they want only 2 teams from the Ivy League in there. I disagree with them from the very, very beginning. I said it's like 2 years ago when you guys had 4 teams in. I disagreed with that. There shouldn't have been 4 teams in 2 years ago, but that was a pandemic year. And what are your thoughts on that?
The RPI is the gospel, and it has a huge ACC bias. Look at this year. I mean, those teams aren't having the greatest of seasons like Virginia or even Duke, but you put them in the tournament, they're scary as hell. So, I think Steve and I talk about it. The eye test is obvious. I mean, you look at the ACC teams and they look big, fast, strong, and uncoverable, and defense big and nasty. They got goalies, they got face-off guys, but it's a hard formula to see that you don't have a great regular season and then you're anointed to go in as a seed. It does give you advantages, right? A seed is a home game, and it's all about the path, guys. It's definitely about the path. And a team like Notre Dame deserves the path, right? They've beaten all comers, and they are number one. The other guys, the ACC are going to get some pass that maybe their regular season doesn't justify. And that's maybe a little bit this year's bias. And maybe when Ivy League one had that many teams, it was an Ivy League bias. But, it's hard to pick the teams. I just think that, the regular season should justify your seed, not just justify getting in. That's my critique of it.
So if Virginia goes into the tournament this weekend, the ACC tournament, and they lose, they're out of the tournament. Am I wrong or right? They lost 5 games.
What are they in the RPI right now, guys? I don't even know.
They're like 5 in the RPI.
So they play Notre Dame, they lose, they stay at 5. There's no
6, right?
They actually get help by losing to Notre Dame. So they're at 5. Should they be outside the top seeds? Probably, based on their, they beat Maryland, who has, not a traditional Maryland season. So it's just a hard.
I'm gonna give Smalls a little history, because all these teams like that are trying to get in. It's all they really want is a chance. You got to get in. You got to be in it to win it. It's like lotto, right? So I'll rewind it. I'm rewinding it back to 1988. Right? I'm a freshman at Post. We have a very good team. We've won 9 games. We're playing Hofstra in the very last game of the season, and likely if we win against Hofstra, we are going to be in the tournament. We end up losing that game. Shout out to Al Blau. I know he listens. He called a 2-minute penalty on Tim McEntee, who cursed at himself, and they scored 2 goals. And you know who scored the goals? Who ended up with 3 goals in the game is the head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning hockey team, John Cooper, who was a lacrosse player, Canadian, at Hofstra. We lose that game by a goal. We are out. Guess who is in? A struggling Cornell team, I think barely over 500, right?
Definitely.
That's the problem. That's the big problem.
They go from sneaking in, and they ride all the way to the championship game, beat Carolina, who to me I thought would have been unbeatable down there. Schmoes must have been, I think he was insane, just decided I'm going to win this game for Cornell, and go on to play all the way to beat Virginia in the Final Four, and then goes and plays the Gates and Syracuse, which was probably, a very tough run. But, speak a little bit about that, Tim. What that year, that team, what was going on there?
Great point. Like you said, just got to get in.
Gotta get in.
And my earlier point was a seed is, in this day and age, is important. But back in '88, just so you know, it wasn't like we were struggling. We lost, I think, 3 double overtime, or we had a 5 overtime game against Sal and Paul Schmoller. So arguably top 3 goalies ever. It's no surprise that we went to 5 overtimes trying to score on those guys. But yeah, I think '88, the best part about '88 is, and it goes to what we always believe, we were a really great group of guys. We were competitive as hell, and we all loved lacrosse. So once we got a shot, we were like, let's go, let's play. And I think that is, back in the day, there wasn't as many teams, but I think it's a good testament that, there are, as you said, just get in it and win it. And that's why Virginia's, Duke, they're scary teams, because getting the regular season's over and they get new life. It's kind of play loose and anything goes.
Jimmy, I agree with you what he just said. Let me make a quick prediction, then we'll go back into Vinny here. I believe in the tournament because they're desperate. In the ACC tournament, you guys ain't going to believe this. I think Virginia's going to upset Notre Dame. So I want that to be on the record, Vincenza. Go ahead, Vincenza. I think they're desperate. I think a desperate team comes up big, just like hockey. When you're very desperate and you got the talent, like the guy who's going to win the, here they go.
Great, Smalls.
Just make it easy. Call it the Heisman of lacrosse.
The Heisman Trophy. That's why I used to call it the Heisman, because
this way
I have a speech impediment, as you guys all know. And I got my 2 good buddies. All they ever do is laugh at me for 30 years. This is what I get for prayer.
Boy, he's in a today. He's feeling picked on or something. I don't know.
That's great.
Oh, these guys kill me. These guys kill me. You like my hat, Timmy? It's a new Cornell floral hat.
Oh, but that, if we get into the playoffs, we'll be wearing those.
We'll all be wearing floral hats for the playoffs. Oh, you can win it. Listen, I when I saw Kirsten, you guys invited me to that little tournament down at CW Post when they played Notre Dame. I thought that was an amazing what those kids did. They were right there about to win it. A few things here and there, and they couldn't. So, I mean, Cornell wins it. It could happen. It could happen.
Hey, listen,
Kirsten is a beast.
As Vinny knows, we've talked many lacrosse, this Cornell season as a parent, but more importantly as a fan, we've had some amazing games. And I tell the coaches and the players, the Syracuse game, the Princeton game, the Notre Dame game. I mean, that's what, I think has made Cornell a team where so many people are just so happy to be entertained with the sport and the competitiveness. And obviously CJ Kirst is just absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm so lucky, and I tell my son Ryan, who plays with him on attack, like, you don't get a chance to play with a guy like that who just is.
I agree with that.
Right, you saw it live with me. He picks up ground balls, he rides, he makes guys better. He's happy. He cheers for everybody. He shoots. He passes. He makes plays. He's just, you don't. And he's big, and he's so he has it all.
Athlete.
But I think the most important part of him, we've all played with guys. We've had guys that are just amazing shooters, amazing players. He's got the whole package all wrapped into one.
Would you consider him the Gary Gates of today? I mean, not that level. They're going to go nuts. The 2 critics are going to kill me now. I didn't say it was Gary and Paul Gate. Here they go. I'm saying, because those guys were but I would consider him the Gary Gates of that level of today, because we're never going to see the Gate brothers. They're a freak show, but these guys are at a level, and they're in shape too. You can't say that kid Kirsch is in very good shape for his size.
I think I don't compare guys, because listen, the guys today are better than our guys because of the sticks and the training and all the other, facets of the game. I mean, obviously Gary and Paul were playing against them for 2 years, and 2 club ball and USA were just amazing. But what CJ's different, he is the consummate guy you want in your locker room. It's just those intangibles. I think in today, the locker room and the competitive spirit, and what really separates teams, right? Because of transfers and 5th years and all the other things. If you don't have a good locker room, you're struggling. And I think people that, since I'm close to the program, CJ's a locker room guy, and he is what's bringing that group to better. He's the best guy on the team, and he's the best guy in the locker room. So those things are just different. And that's what I believe in. And Steve and I played together for 30 years. It's about the team that likes each other the most and plays as a team. And those things are just intangibles, I think, to separate the teams. Now, we shall see. Starting with Friday night at 8:30 against Penn, who beat them this year. Let's see if that overrides, puts them in front. Now, obviously, every team has injuries. Cornell's had injuries that have, put them in some spots, but they look like they're getting better and better. I just think that CJ Kirst, we have him for another year, is just a difference maker. And if that difference can come up and come up aces, we could have a good shot. Would you
We're
agree with
losing
that?
him a little bit.
What do you
Timmy,
guys
we're
think?
losing you a little bit. Am I right or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pinging off a couple of satellites, but he'll be back.
Yeah. I'd love your guys' opinion because, I don't talk to many people about Cornell
What do
lacrosse.
you think, Ben?
Yeah.
I think I think there seem to be teams that are going to be more battle tested before they get to the playoffs. So you could just look at wins and losses with the ACC, but they're playing against each other. Although they did have the Ivies went down and won. That kind of, I don't know if you want to call it Ivy ACC challenge. Penn beat Duke and Princeton beat Carolina. And the next 2 days later, the ACC teams won both games. So but when your record is whatever it is, but you're in probably the strongest conference top to bottom. I mean, even Carolina showed a lot of fight the other day. I mean, people think that Carolina was so bad this year. I didn't think they were so bad. They lost by a goal to Army. They've had some hard luck. So it's like, as you say, Tim, we know it well. You can't take anybody lightly in a sport that's a sport about, momentum. It's about the ball bouncing the right way. It's about, face-off matchups. It's about goaltending. You get a hot goalie. You played with one of the greatest of all time, when Schmoles. He was a game changer. So these games, but overall, watching lacrosse as long as I have, I look at it like I wouldn't be surprised who's like from 1 to 10. Any one of those teams from 1 to 10 can win it, given they with some luck. I didn't think last year, by the way, that Penn State, I didn't think they were so good. I thought that Duke would, just handled them in that semis last year. And, a lot of people, about the bad call and the overtime, but they took them to overtime. They had every chance to win that game, Penn State. They were right there. So will we see that this year? Will depth come into play? It always does, in my opinion. Do you need two face-off guys maybe to get by? Look, I think that so I watched the game the other day in Carolina Duke, right? And the kid's been phenomenal for 4 years, Naso, but he was not having a great day. And the Carolina faceoff guy is very good. So near the end, when they had to close the gap, because Duke was on the edge of being knocked out of the ACC tournament had they lost by 5. Then they put the kid from Manhasset, Cal Gerard, and all of a sudden he gives him a spark. He's getting faceoffs left and right. Maybe out of that they say, wait a minute, this kid, is maybe we got to give him more reps in these games. I don't know, but those are all things that I think at the end of the day are going to be factors in, even down to playing on grass as opposed to playing on turf, and those things all kind of come into play in these close games. Like if you go back and you study these games, like you said, you go back to that year when Cornell lost that game to Syracuse, and you see the plays that have the next year, and then look at the year when it was at Hofstra. We were there, Smalls. You were in the box when Maryland had a lead on Virginia. And the guy from Virginia takes a shot, hits the crossbar. They call it a goal. They get momentum. They can't get a faceoff. Next thing you know, Virginia wins the game. Virginia goes on to win the national championship. They easily should have lost that game to Maryland that day. So, that's what
listen, Vinny, this is my point. And we all been watching lacrosse this year and ESPN Plus. The playoffs are going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And my hope is that there are some teams that we wouldn't expect to get into the Final Four. Obviously, Cornell is by far the team that I'm rooting for, but hey, an Army team to get in there, a Penn State again brought a ridiculous number of fans. But that Final Four this year, the level of play and the closeness of games that we've been seeing all year is going to make it an awesome event. And that's what I think I would predict is that.
Timmy, who's your sleeper team that you fear? Who's the one team you fear playing Cornell, which you believe they just don't have their number, or to overcome them will be a lot?
Well,
what?
Obviously, Notre Dame's not a sleeper team.
Yeah.
They got a phenomenal goalie, and the Kavanaugh kids are amazing, and they got all parts. But, Vinny's points were right. The ACC is battle tested, and they got great teams. I just think that, an Army team is, but they got to get through the Patriot League. I mean, it's a one bid league. I think that there's, a lot of teams that I would love to see a different name on the Final Four brackets, right? I would love to see some other teams we haven't seen before. Maybe a Denver, right? Denver's playing good ball, and they got new coach.
They're doing it quietly. They're doing it quietly. They're like sneaking up on people.
Hopkins looks like they may be one of the, unique, quiet, big boy, have
great call. That's a great call.
I mean, I think that people said that early in the year, and I think they validated that. They seem to have some big guys that are really talented, some small guys are really quick, a really good defense, a really good goalie, and a hungry team, right? They haven't been around enough. So if you would use the word sleeper, I don't think Hopkins is a sleeper, but that may be a team that might break into the Final Four, which would be awesome. And again, Penn State is, TJ Malone and all those.
You don't think of Georgetown? Are they going to make a Georgetown team? They come in as number 10. They make the tournament. They still have a shot, right, Vin?
Somebody like that. I mean, I don't know if they win the Big East. I mean, I think the Big East is a 2-team league. Regardless of what happens, I think the tournament will probably end up Denver, Georgetown final. The winner gets the higher seed. The loser gets the seed. But I think either one of those teams is capable. Look, early in the year, that's Notre Dame's one loss is to Georgetown, right? So
that's unbelievable if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Big East could be a 1-bid league. It could be a 2-bid league, right? If Denver wins, who knows if Georgetown gets in? I don't know their resume per se. I saw them play Friday night against Villanova. They looked good, but they didn't look like they were a world beater that day. But
they're 11 in the RPI,
right?
And they got a win over Notre Dame, which looks like the strongest team.
Hey, right. Timmy, explain the RPI exactly. I know it, but explain it to the viewers that are out there listening. What does it mean? Actually,
he usually calls it the PSI.
Yeah. Well, it appears that the RPI is the gospel. So if you look up and down the RPI of the years, based on me looking at it, you can see it based on really how the RPI is stacking up. It seems to be a formula that takes into strength of schedule and takes into quadrant wins. When they finally you get a top 5 win, you get a top 5 through 10, and you get a 10 through 15. And then ultimately it does have a little bit of a negative based on a loss outside the quadrant. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Bad loss. They take bad loss.
Bad loss outside the quadrant. And then ultimately,
I like that he uses the big words, quadrant. I like
quadrant,
that.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you an example with the interesting part. Cornell just beat Dartmouth last weekend, right? But Dartmouth hasn't had the best of season, and their RPI went down, even though they won. So it really
RPI.
So like Virginia will play Notre Dame this weekend, and if they lose, which you look at their resume, it's not been the greatest regular season resume, they will not go down because they're playing the number 1 team, and that's how the RPI works, right?
Okay, so
Georgetown sitting at 11.
Yeah, that's good.
Georgetown sitting at 11 is not in a favorable at-large bid concept because team 10, 9, and 8 are ahead of them, and if there's any bid stealers, they're behind, I assume, Cornell, Yale, and maybe Penn or Princeton, right? Is that correct?
Possibly.
Yeah. Do you think, let me ask you this, Tim, and this comes into whether or not, and I know it's the evolution of lacrosse to sort of match basketball in a way of having these conference tournaments and things like that, because a lot rides on it, especially when there's that automatic bid. Cornell's playing Penn Friday. Huge game. I mean, if they don't win that game, yes, their RPI probably will still be pretty high, but does it put them in jeopardy if ultimately, like you said, bid stealer, if Penn somehow wins the Ivy League, does that turn the Ivy League into a 3-team league?
Well, if you look at RPI, Cornell's the highest rated RPI. So let's say they lose to Penn, then they would be the second team, right? Think about that. It's not like
What do you mean? Did the Ivy League get the highest? What are you saying? In the whole thing? Just the Ivy League did the highest RPI.
Of the Ivy League teams, Cornell has the highest RPI, and they should because of their schedule. Their schedule.
Cornell's at 9, Yale's at 10, and Penn's at 12. So they're pretty bunched up right there.
Wow.
Right. So you're not going to, if Cornell loses the Penn, they're not going to really get penalized.
Okay, so they're not going to go down.
Right.
All right, that's a good, yeah.
So, listen, I think what Steve and you were talking about is, I think winning the Ivy League and getting the AQ and having winning the Ivy League and then winning the AQ should push you in a favorable position to get a better seed, right? Than just sitting in the RPI 8 or 7 over a Virginia that may lose in the first round and they still stay. Even though Vinny says we all know it's a competitive league, but you should get some extra juice for winning your conference tournament because you're laying a lot on the line to play that. You're playing 2 games in 2 days, and you should get some juice for winning the Ivy League over those 2 days. And it's all about the path for a lot of these teams, right? The reason Cornell got to the finals a couple of years ago was a great path, right? It all worked out in that way. So if Cornell wins the Ivy League, I think there should be extra juice for that to give them a positive seed than having 4 ACCs all in front of them, even though some of them didn't have a great regular season. That's my opinion. Does that make sense? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, well, I look, from a player's standpoint, or I'll go from 2 standpoints. As a coach, if I'm coaching, honestly, I'm just telling my team, don't even worry about any of that. We just got to beat the team that's in front of us. We can't. You're not going to ultimately control where you can win all your games. You can win your conference tournament, and yet another team might get a better seed than you. So you can't be looking at that and saying, I want to play what looks like a weaker team, because that sets the stage for you getting upset when you start to think you're playing weaker teams. Just look at whoever you got to play. Worry about the team in front of you. Win 1 game at a time. And that would be, as a coach, how I would be, telling my guys, don't think like, oh, wow, we avoided Duke or we avoided Virginia. We're playing one of these. We're playing Denver instead of them. This is easier. It's not. It's not necessarily easier. You don't know. A lot goes into these games in terms of matchups and all of that. So psychologically, I just would be continually telling my guys, we take 1 game at a time. We don't care who we play, where we play them, and just win. That's it.
But you talk about Notre Dame, for example, and we know the ACC doesn't officially have that automatic qualifier. So again, it becomes like the idea is you're gearing up for the NCAA tournament, right? That's where it's all about, right? So they don't seem to play that way, Notre Dame. I thought even last week you might see Rudy Rudiger on attack, but. These Kavanaughs, they're going out. That was a rough game with Virginia. You're risking. Do you lay back in this ACC tournament if you Notre Dame?
No,
to protect against injury and everything else.
You said it. You said they got the Herm Edwards mentality.
They do
to play.
They do.
Game. Why would guys who their whole success is the fact that they're so aggressive and make every play life and death, all of a sudden going to say, this game don't matter as much. We maybe could rest a few guys. No, you got to keep the pedal to the metal and keep competing. Now, I'm not saying if you're in a particular game, like I'll go back to that year when Brown had that great team and Dylan Malloy was unbelievable. He was C.J. Kirst before C.J. Kirst. They got similar style. They're strong, good shooting guys. And that team, with the defense they had and all, that was a team could have won it all that year. They play Hopkins. They're up big in the fourth quarter, and they leave him in the game, and he breaks his foot. And they end up he's unavailable. Really, he went in one run. He even scored a goal. Maybe it was extra man in the final four, and then he just couldn't do it. So he had to sit the rest of the day. And they lost a close game. I think they lost by a goal to Maryland that day.
Yeah, that's the danger. I mean, that's
Well,
what yeah.
those are decisions you're making. You have this in your head as a head coach. You have these things in your head, and you're going to say, okay, if I got this kind of a lead, look, I'll go back one more. We talked about the Cornell Syracuse loss. I thought that game was lost on Saturday, even though they beat Virginia that Saturday big. They had the starters in the end of the game with like 7-8 goal lead. Rob Purnell running around. These guys were drained in the finals in that fourth quarter. That's why they got.
Why not rest players then? I didn't mean to jump in on
There's
you.
a way to rest them, not like sit them out or just not let them play or whatever.
Why not? Why not for the ACC tournament? Rest the guys. Nothing's really changing if you're saying for some of the teams.
I'm saying there's a balance between when you say, well, you got to define what you're saying, resting players, not play them or play them.
Yeah, not play them in the third and fourth quarter.
I don't believe in not playing guys. What I'm saying is, if I'm a head coach and I know I got this grind over the next 3 weeks to try to win a national championship, if I'm in the ACC playoff game and I'm up 7-8 goals, I'm going to start spelling guys. I don't care if I limp to the finish line. I put my subs in. The other team gets a little close. I win by 3 instead of 8. I'm happy with that because I rested my guys. But I'm not talking about changing what you do from the start of the game. There's a difference.
Hey, listen, I may never disagree with Vinny, but I disagree with him, and I'll tell you why. I think that getting a seed is 100% really important. Think about 8 versus 9. If Cornell gets 8, they haven't lost a home game all year. They're 8-0. Versus 9, they get on the road and they go play. Let's just say Syracuse is 8 and 9 interchangeable. There's a big deal about home games, and that for a first round game is huge. And I think the ACC tournament, again, winning that will secure you a better seed, which obviously you got to play the team in front of you. But the seed is really, you get an easier first round game and you're right to the quarterfinals. You have a good game there and you have a good team that matches up well with you, or you have the advantage. You're in the Final Four. That's when
Notre Dame is sitting at 1, right? If they lose to Virginia because they take the foot off the gas a little bit, right?
Right.
Hopkins, they lose the number 1 seed, but how far could they drop them? Are they going to drop them?
But Hopkins might get the number 1 seed, right?
No.
Wait a second, Timmy, hold on. Hold the show up. Timmy disagreed with Vinny.
Yeah, I know.
Can you believe this? Oh, God. Let me make dinner for everybody. Let's have a powwow.
But I look at it this way. The quarterfinals.
Can I take that back? Please.
No.
I don't want that
on video. God.
The quarterfinals.
He's going to crucify me. I'm dead in the morning. Trust me, I'm dead in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm going to
have to leave the country.
Oh,
that's it.
Let me tell you something.
He hasn't put a hit on anybody in 20 years. I'm done. I'm dead in the morning.
I take that back, Vinny. I did not say that.
No. I'm going to just say it. The quarterfinals, you're most likely on the road anyway, right?
Right.
The Final Four, you're on the road anyway. So if you're worried about a home game in the first round, and if you're a high seed, you're supposed to win that game anyway. You might be playing an AQ team that's from, I'm not belittling those other leagues, but if you're playing an ASUN team or you're playing one of these other teams in the first, you don't care where you played that game.
Now he's picking on the smaller guy. He says he's not picking on. Steven, chime in. Steven, come in on this and pick on Vinny. He's picking on a smaller team. I can't believe this.
I think he's making the right point.
I think
because sometimes when you sit out, how many times have we seen this? Sometimes when you take your foot, if you take your foot too far off the gas, then when you get to that next game, you've lost the mojo you had going along, and then you can get beat if somebody comes up and
these conference tournaments are interesting. In basketball, same thing, right? It's like you play extra games, and lacrosse is more of a physical sport than basketball, obviously. So I think obviously teams that are sitting in the Ivy League, let's just take most of them. They're there for their playoff lives. So they're playing for that AQ versus maybe a team, maybe I don't even know if it is Cornell or Yale that has, the potential to have that. So,
Hey,
you're
I'm on
talking
a
about the
podcast.
ACC,
What's
you're
going
talking about
on?
the ACC, right? And Smallsy's got a call. I don't know if they're
Yeah,
Look at
well,
this guy.
Who's calling?
this is part of his act.
He
so.
made somebody call. I think he texted somebody to
Yeah,
call him.
Yeah,
definitely.
that's what he does. He told call me
Right.
at 10:45 exactly.
Exactly.
Timmy, hold on. I'll let Timmy make it start, and then I got a question because I got to read it. It's Vinny, believe me, it's a good question. Go ahead, Timmy.
Well, I think Vinny and I are kind of saying the same thing. I think that, I believe the seed maybe gives you maybe a little easier path, but that in this day and age, that might not be as important as it was in past years, because I think 1 through, let's call it 6, are somewhat interchangeable today.
Do you think, I'm going to just ask you one other thing about the seed. Do you think they massage even those seeds around just out of the convenience of travel and everything else? They don't strictly do it by the number. They're like, you know what? This team's up here. Let's give them a higher seed just so they
Yeah,
can
they
get
favor the Ivy Leagues. Yes, I believe that.
No, I don't think they favor the Ivy League, Smallsy. It's about the location. Like, let's just say Cornell is an 8 seed, and let's just say Army wins or Albany wins. It's pretty obvious that one of those teams is going to go to Syracuse or Cornell. It's just the way it's been forever. It's a little disappointing. Right. It's a travel budget, NCAA BS, but
so sometimes the location can actually help you see.
Yes.
You might get a little boost up there, just by being and the same thing, it could hurt you. You could be a higher seed, but they're like, you know what? We want Hopkins down at Duke, so let's just put them down a little bit so that they're in that other bracket.
Well, listen, the teams in the Northeast that are swimming around there, right? You got the Colgates, the Armies, the Albany, the Northeast teams, obviously Syracuse, Cornell, Army, Yale. They're all swimming around there. If they're in the tournament, you're going to see each other playing each other, right?
Right.
Yeah, but I don't think they care as long as they're in, because as Richie said, it's great to be here.
Hey, listen, we are a Cornell
Vinny,
Homer
you did it. I love
Let's
that.
go,
I love him. Oh, I love him. I can't stand nothing about him, but I do love him.
What's your question, Smalls?
Yeah,
all right. Do me a favor, please. Can I have Vinny's attention? I know he's a top guy at Chaminade, and he's great. And Mr. Goldstein went to Cornell. He's Yuppie Bill. And you're the critic of me. Let me finish the question. It's lengthy. I don't know if I'm going to get by it, but I appreciate if you guys really put your mind to this. You ready?
Okay.
This is for Timmy Goldstein.
All right, can't wait.
Do you feel your son Ryan has stepped into a leadership role as a freshman, as it appears his see there they fuck you. Fuck these guys. I mean, it's retarded. I got to go through this. I got to go through this.
Oh, come on. The way you changed it.
I can't.
Get it out.
You can finish.
Timmy.
Go ahead, Smallsy. I got the gist of it. What's the ending?
No, because he's not that smart. He didn't graduate one in his class at Charmin. I don't know when he graduated. He said he graduated, but he really didn't. That's what I feel. Let me finish, and then I get to the end.
Okay, go ahead.
Stupid you did that. Now I can't get it down, and Vinny screwed me up. He knows this shit. I have a bad... Listen, I had a learning disability as a kid. Now I got this guy, the most brilliant guy in the world, chiming on me. All right, let me finish. Let me start, please. It's a great question. You won't get it. Do you feel your son, Ryan, has stepped into a leadership role as a freshman, as it appears his teammates are extremely confident in his contributions to the team's success this year and moving forward? So listen, do you feel your son, Ryan, has stepped into a leadership role as a freshman, as it appears to his teammates?
He looks like Luca Brazzi reading the question.
Listen, Smallsy, great question. So the answer is Ryan as a freshman is in the locker room or on the field. Ryan is a freshman, but Mikey Long and CJ are both captains. Mikey Long's been a 2-time captain and is an amazing captain. But what Ryan does on the field, his role, which is to be behind the net, which I played, and he plays, is to quarterback, moving the ball from one side to the other. And I think what's interesting about Connor, which I remember Ryan shared with me, he says, I don't care if you get 0-0, you could have the best day, or you have 4 goals, 5 assists, and have a great day. And I think what that really means is just do your role. Do your role. Some days you'll be shooting and scoring. Some days you'll be passing and be hockey assists. But from a leadership role at Cornell, at some point, we hope, the family hopes, meaning.
But I got to push back. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can
All
I
right, go ahead.
I got to jump in for 1 second. What I'm really asking, as a freshman, obviously he's not a 4-year senior. So do you feel he's stepping into a leadership role as a freshman, as it appears his teammates, that's why I wanted to read that part, are extremely confident in him? That's the part you didn't listen. You guys went off the track there.
All right, I understand the question now. What you mean? What you're asking me? Do they have confidence in that he can make the team better by the role he plays? And I would say 100% yes, because what's interesting about lacrosse, and my bias is that having a quarterback, an ex-attackman, makes everybody better. And Steven knows this because I played with him for 100 years. When guys are cutting, when a quarterback's back there, they're cutting really hard versus a guy who's never picking his head up. And ultimately that helps the whole offense, makes the defense a lot harder. So having a ex-attackman, which is somewhat of a dying breed, Schellenberg is an amazing one. It makes the defense much more difficult to play. So I think what Ryan would bring, being a quarterback that has his heads up, is the ability for guys to want to cut and for defenses that have a harder job to play that team. Obviously, he's lucky to have Mike and CJ around them, veteran, great players. So it makes his job easier. So, that's why he has had the season he's had. Is sometimes.
Are you surprised he's doing so well? Because I am.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's a hard game right now.
To come in as a freshman, wasn't he injured the first 7 games?
Yeah, the first 6 games he broke his finger, missed out. I believe, and this is what maybe you guys would say on a podcast, what Ryan has been lucky enough to do is in this day and age of
hey, Fish, I'm on a podcast. Can I call you back? Bye-bye.
Hey, in this day and age of AAU, club ball, all they do is play games, right? Ryan's been lucky enough to be able to develop his game more than play games. And that development's been with Mike Sowers since 7th grade. And they train and work on the development of the game. And they care more about developing their skills and their game than they care about playing 50 games. 20.
I love the kid. Not because he's your son. Timmy, I love the kid. I love his game in there. He reminds me, he's got a little Canadian in him. He moves the stick. Like I tell Vinny, they laugh at me.
You know what's good on Smalls' question, and what I've noticed, and I know he missed the beginning of the year, but I've watched a number of games in this small evolution of when he first went into the lineup, which he made an immediate impact. But I actually noticed, to point to Smalls' question, I believe the team is building and gaining even more confidence in Ryan. Like, when he first was in there, I think there was confidence, but I see it more now. Like, there's a belief, like, finally, like, let's make the right lacrosse play, but let's throw it to this freshman because he will make the right play.
That's when I said it in the thing. I said,
and you can see that. You can see that with the team.
It appears his teammates. That's what I wrote. Extremely confident in him.
That was a very intellectual question.
Smallsy, great question. Yeah, and it's hard to talk about your kid. That's just.
I know. I'm talking. You can be outside your norm today, but
I'm just a fan of, Coach Busick is, he's become a really good offensive coach, and what he believes in more than what I love is it's, one day first going to get 3 goals, one day you get 0, one day, those are the freshmen. Then the seniors. They're playing a role. I mean, look at number 27. I mean, he's playing lights out when it's
That's Smalley's guy. That's Smalley's guy.
Yeah, I love the guy.
Big U.
Yeah, I love that. I love the guy. He was in the box the other day.
Right, and they just play roles. Like, we all know this. Vinny, Steven, we've been talking a million years. Long Island Lacrosse Club. You don't have to be, a 10-goal scorer and be the best unit and have 5 of those guys, 6 of the guys. You just need a couple of those guys, and other guys do the little things, right? That's how we believe it. And I think Cornell has that kind of mindset. And that's why you look at the box score and you'll see 1 week it's this guy and 1 week it's that guy. And that makes them a harder team to play against. Would you agree
Hey,
with that?
Timmy, that's a
Well,
good point.
I would say this to start of the question. I'm not surprised at all because I know he's your son. And
Oh, Jesus. I'm out of here. Steven, I'm done with this bullshit. Steve, I'm coming in with my diaper next time. Oh, my goodness.
You don't like that.
And I love Vinny more than anybody in the world. I promote this guy. He don't need promotion, but I love the guy. But he kills me sometimes. He really does.
See why the guy doesn't take himself to the next level. He talks rather than listen all the time.
Go ahead, Vinny. We got the floor. And you've been talking for 3 hours. Go, Vinny.
Because his son is playing a very similar style to how Tim played. He's playing the role from behind, which I wasn't sure they were going to put him at X. And when he came in the lineup, they did. Whether he may be, let's say, like the first game, I'll give you, because I watch games.
He's much better than Timmy as a freshman, my brother.
The first game he played in, that he came into the lineup, I believe he was covered by a short stick most of the game. Wasn't he, Tim? That first game he played in?
Came in the second quarter.
Because they put the short stick on him, he made them pay the price. He got guys caught up in the net. He was able to beat guys to the goal and score. So as teams started to say this guy's very dangerous with a short stick on him. It's not the best move, and they put a pole on him. So he adjusts. He changes his game a little more. He understands where the better matchup may be and how he can play off that matchup. So he's shown that he has an ability to adapt to whatever the defense is doing, depending on who's covering him or depending on who else has a better matchup, which the bottom line, what I'm saying is he's a very cerebral player. And I would assume that his father, who was a very cerebral player, nobody's going to mistake Tim for lifting cars.
Sorry.
He wasn't the top guy. He wasn't the top guy in the weight room. I can bet a lot of money on that.
Oh, here we go. Now he's throwing it on. Keep going, Vinny.
Wrong, Tim? Am I saying anything
1,000%.
Yeah, you are. Keep going, Vinny.
Hey, listen, Vinny, but you're also, he did fall into a good situation. I'm sure people would say when you play with Mikey Long and CJ Kurse, it does make it easier.
He might have, but he took advantage of it. There's guys who are for good situations and they don't take advantage of it. He's taking advantage of, and listen, he's going to have some plays here and there that he might try to do too much, or he might try to squeeze a pass in. That's normal. I tell kids all the time. I laugh at some kids. I talk to kids after game. Guy thinks he had a bad game. I had 2 turnovers. I said, you think all the eyes of the world are just on you. They're not. They're on the whole game. I said, and if you go look at the box score of every that's played, the average is 15 to 20 turnovers in games. So if you're
hey, Vinny, you make a really good point, and I'll share this with you. And it may be good for younger kids. Let's call it club ball. Let's call it at Radnor, where the ball was in his stick 80% of the time, and he was making plays and off his stick. And then he did it 1 year when he did PG. He had the ball in his stick a lot, making turnovers or plays, high risk, high reward, which is where I played. So now you get to the next level where turnovers are not well received on the college level. And how do you adjust? And that's where I think Ryan's adjustment was, where I would say, I don't know if I could make that adjustment because I was let it sling and we had a great goalie. But in this common or modern day of lacrosse, 8 or 9 plays is required versus 6 where there are 4 goals. So I think Ryan's adjustment to what you said, which I think is why everybody knows Vinny is the godfather of lacrosse, and he really knows his stuff. He knows his shit. I think you made a really good point. And I wouldn't even have brought that point up, but you're saying the cerebral part of changing your game, one game versus the other, or not being the ability to want to do everything off your stick is Ryan's adjustment or maturity in his lacrosse game that, give credit to the coaches, but give credit to Ryan, that has really made him dangerous because he's not making the mistakes that, typical freshmen would make based on his background. Right?
Staying on that point, I want to jump in here. Here's what I want to jump in. And here's one of the things, if I was the offensive coordinator of Cornell, and this is a question for each one of you. Going into the playoffs now, he's talking about his son. Here's one of the changes that I would do, or I would have tried out maybe this weekend. I would like to add his son to the man up. I think his son would be more valuable on man up. Now he can't really say that because that's his son, but they should have changed a few things, I think, around. If I was the offensive coordinator going into this tournament, I would like to put him on man up to see the percentage of where we are going into the playoffs. I think it's fabulous idea as the offensive coordinator. Oh, don't laugh, Vinny. Someday you'll see me on the sideline as a coach. Don't laugh. Keep laughing. Keep going. But then, what?
I wasn't laughing, but now I'm laughing. Now,
Steven, what say you? What do you think? Hold on. What do you think they should?
Now, you want to know the best part about Smalley? He don't know what's in his own head, but he knows what's in my head.
That's a talent. Smallsy's got talent.
I can't speak.
Tell me what you need them to change going into the playoffs. Because right now they're not going to be winning. They need to change some things.
I watched Cornell, play Notre Dame, who's arguably the deepest and potentially the best team in college, and I saw them play them tooth and nail right to the very end. I don't think it's like Timmy said a while back. A bounce of the ball here and there, and they could have.
But you got to make adjustments, Steven. What would the adjustments you make? You didn't watch the footage on them the whole year and the tapes.
I don't think you have to make any major adjustments when you lose a game 18-17, and you can any time could win that game. You could look within it and say, what can we tighten up on the defense to hold them a little better? There are maybe some things you could do, but as far as all of those details, extra man, I leave listen. The coaches are with the kids all the time. They know.
But they can make changes too. I think Ryan should be touching the ball even on man up much more. He's got so much skills to put it in the net. What say you, Vinny?
Calm down. You can't say much more because he hasn't been on the extra man. So you're saying they should put him in. I understand that. It's a valid point.
He gave me credit. Vinny, my man.
There are teams that have guys who specifically play either man up, man down.
Right.
Uses a whole man down unit. They bring in on man down. They bring in 5 new guys.
Yeah.
So
Notre Dame uses 0.
So chances are, had Ryan not hurt his finger, had from the beginning of the season, he was on man up, he'd be on man up right now. But I don't take that as a slight or anything. Can it be better with him? Maybe.
Why not try, Vinny, for the SEC tournament?
But that's part of coaches' decisions. That's part of coaches' decisions that keep every player engaged on a team. That's why you have what's a team, to now. But obviously you got to make spur of the moment decisions sometimes in games. If a guy just don't have it or the guy's not doing something right, and you say, this guy can give us a spark, and you do those things. And I'm sure Ryan is capable, ready, willing, and able if he's called upon to do that. But that's where some of the things like leadership come in. There may be conversations. So here, I've been on teams like this. There may be conversations where Coach Busick calls in the 2 captains and says, look, we're at this percentage. What do you think if we change this? But how will that affect the team if we take a guy who might be a senior and put the freshman instead? How is that psychologically? There's those things you got to consider too. And I'm not saying it's not the right move. I'm just saying these guys take all these kinds of things into consideration. And great coaches, and we played for one of them, Tom Postel. Postel was known. He was one of the greatest on-the-fly adjustment guys. He saw who had the hot hand in a particular game or in a particular half, or saw that the guy was a better matchup against a particular defender. And he didn't care if you were the best guy on the team or you were not the best guy on the team. He would pull a really good guy to put another guy because it just was what he felt was going to work.
That's my point, but I'm saying, why not try it?
I think the
coach, for the ACC tournament, put Ryan in just for the tournament.
Okay, he may. Well, no, you're saying ACC, Ivy League, you mean?
The Ivy League.
Hey, listen.
Same thing.
Here's my response.
Ivy and ACC, 3 letters.
One thing I will tell you that I know, and my credo is, I don't second guess college coaches, and I certainly don't second guess Connor Busick, Jordan Stevens, Apollo, who I think, as young coaches, have the best culture in the business. And if I was a young guy and I was a really good lacrosse player, I would want to go play for those guys.
But Timmy, that's biased. That's biased. You went to Cornell. You got Cornell coaches. You give them all the accolades. Other people could come on and say, "Hey, Timmy, that sounds really biased." I mean,
I would say, Smallsy, with my bias in tow, I would say 1,000% that those are the type of guys you want to play for. The culture they've created, the way they handle themselves, the youngness is just, I just know it now because I didn't know it before, but now having a son up there, it is just a special staff that these guys work their asses off.
But they can be subject to be criticized.
Yes.
And that's where
and listen, I told that to the coaches, like, nobody has a job. Look at all our jobs where you can sit in there and someone second guesses what you do, or Monday morning quarterbacks what you do. If someone asked me what I did and looked at my job every day, I make mistakes all day long. We expect the coaches not to make mistakes, and not that they make mistakes or even second guess their decisions.
But it's okay to talk about it. I understand that.
Of course.
Your point is well taken.
But I think Vinny's point was, hey, let's just say Ryan's has the best hands, best mind, best everything. There may be a reason why they have another man-up unit because they feel it's those guys are a better unit, or those guys are better for the locker room, or those guys are better for whatever decisions or whatever they're making. They have their reasons.
Right.
And I don't know what their reasons why Ryan's not on man up, and I haven't asked Ryan, but I can tell you one thing. I've talked to Ryan all the time. He's never once talked about it or complained about it. So I know if I was playing and I was in college, man up was my favorite part. It was probably the thing I thought I did the best. I'd be complaining.
We know that, Tim. We know that.
Right.
By the way, shout out Jordan Stevens, former teammate, Vin.
Yeah, Jordy coming out.
Jordan Stevens?
Yeah, he played on our Whitmore team that Metzger sponsored. He sponsored a team when Jordy had played with. Was he on the team with Jake, the Empire team? Yeah, Jake, I think it was Jake. Yeah, and,
he's all business. He's all business, Jordan.
No, so he, listen, he's a great guy and good recruiter. I've seen him around the circuit. He comes to Long Island. He's a former Long Islander, so he loves Long Islanders. But it doesn't surprise me. Those guys are hardworking guys, and they've made the right moves. Now, are they going to screw up now and then? Just like players screw up, just like refs screw up, just like everybody screws up. You make bad decisions sometimes, and you got to live by them, and you learn from them. They're young guys. I think Busick may be the youngest coach in Division I, isn't he? He's got to be close to it. He's a young guy. It's a young coaching staff. If these guys are going to stick around there, they got a lot of potential for
Hey, by the way, Vinny, they won 3 straight Ivy Leagues. 3 straight.
Yeah.
Tough league as young coaches. And arguably, if you look at the roster for next year versus who's exiting in the program, they're going to be a fun team to watch. So
let's talk about that a second, because I was going to ask you. You were talking about Ryan. He's a freshman. Obviously, moving ahead, there are some pieces that might get lost. I mean, the guy Long, he would be out, right?
No, Michael's back next year. The whole
team is back.
The whole attack unit's back.
Unbelievable.
Cascadden, who lost his job because of his knee, he's coming back for 3 years, which he's an absolute animal. We don't lose anybody really at the midfield except for really good players going to Carolina.
You lose Kelleher's back.
Kelleher's back.
Wow, these guys play forever. It seems like they're there forever, these guys. When they make an impact as a freshman, it just makes them seem like they're there forever.
Yeah, and the defense is, we lost our first 2 D middies. Chris Davis was an All-American, first or second type of All-American guy, and he was out, and he's a difference maker on that team. He'll be back for 2 more years. So they got the difference that I've seen in maybe the Ivy League but Cornell specific. If you look at the guys that aren't in the spots, there's so much talent that could be just step in and plug and play. I mean, look at, this past weekend, Michael Long couldn't play, and Cadigan had 4 goals, and could have had, and 2 pipes, could have had 6 goals.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's like you said. That's part of the culture. That's part of next man up mentality. That's, be ready. And that's part of not only leadership from the coaches, but leadership from the senior players. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the senior players. Just the fact that guys encourage each other and have confidence in each other. Like if you're an attackman, the ball goes up the other end, and you go over to your other attackman and say, look, this guy is cheating. I'm throwing this into you. You may not think you're open, but I'm throwing it to you because I think you're open. Those kinds of conversations and the confidence in each other. That's what wins games.
Well, I think that let's just take Ryan, for example, because I live with the kid, but this summer, he's going to be working harder than he worked last summer. I mean, he's the luckiest guy to have a Mike Sowers, who is an absolute animal, who's training for the PL. They work out at 6:30 a.m. with
Timmy. Can I give you a suggestion what you may want to do? And I know
sure.
I'm going to get some.
Go, Smallsy.
I'm going to get some pushback, and rightfully so, and that's the way it's got to go. Why not think of sending your son to Canada, maybe to get on a team down there and maybe it's just an idea. It's a thought that maybe he could grow in the Canadian League with some Canadians, just like the young fella from Cuse did. That's all I'm saying. Just a thought.
Yeah, well, listen, there's a kid, AJ Nicola, who's Ryan's best buddy, who's a great midi. He is 205 pounds and a big boy. He's going up to Canada to play. Ryan's a $145. That is not conducive to the indoor game to get better at, right? It's like, it was the same way with me. I didn't love box because of the holding. The size does have a detriment, but guys like Jeff Teed or even Willem Firth, who's on Ryan's team, was a tremendous freshman. Those guys have been playing it since first grade.
Well, Spallina did it. How did he survive? He's tinier than your son.
He's a thicker boy. He's a strong kid. He's a hardworking son of a bitch. I know that. But no, I think Ryan and me, I think his ability to play with and work out with
maybe another year. He's got to eat some Wheaties. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think he needs it. I don't think he needs it at all. He don't need to go there and take shots and get beat up and all
I don't say that part. I'm talking about the part where the box skills come in.
It'd be great if you go up and you're learning a different skill or whatever, but he's got enough. He's got enough skill. He's, from my point of view, he can build up his body a little more, get a little stronger. That'll always help. But he don't even, he's effective how he is. He's quick.
He's gonna have Timmy's body. Yeah. He's always gonna have
What's up with Timmy? Ain't nobody got killed like Timmy. So I always liked the kid when he played in hockey. He never mentions Hofstra. You know what I'm saying? He left Hofstra alone. We're waiting for that big check for him to send over to Hofstra this year.
Hey, Timmy, tell Smallsy the first ground ball that you ever went to try to get when we were in Florida and you had to take on the goalie down there behind the goal. Didn't work out that
I love the kid, man. He got picked on his whole life.
Leave it to the other guys to go pick up the
ball. We all know we said that. We all knew our roles. Pick up the ball, get it through the crowd, get hit, and throw me the ball, and I'll throw it to somebody else.
Right.
Somehow I forgot my role was not to go get ground balls, and I collided with the goalie and fractured my collarbone like in 100 places.
Timmy, you broke your collarbone?
You got to protect the king. You got to protect the king. What good is it? You got to have the main guys playing.
Nobody got beat on more than Timmy at Hofstra. That's a fact. I used to go to the games. I go, you're killing the kid.
No, I don't know.
I
got beat on pretty good at Hofstra.
Yeah, listen, I know Smallsy doesn't talk. I love my Hofstra days. Dave McCullough was my roommate, an amazing player. I needed Hofstra to grow the hell up, and that was but I mean, I love my Hofstra days. It was
Timmy, a quick question for you. Then you get on it. You don't have to go too long on it. Who were the 3 most influencer? The 3 most influential people at Cornell to you. Is that how you say it, Vin? 3 most influential.
Oh, good.
When I was at Cornell?
Yeah.
Obviously Richie was, he's the kingpin, right? He was which was amazing about Richie. He was a player first guy. He and at that point I was already pretty good IQ. I played for Postel, who was about the highest of the highest, as Vinny knows, and so I kind of had my IQ trending in the right direction there. And Richie was great. I think it was what Cornell was the culture there. I think a lot of was just the competitiveness of the culture. And Steven knows this because he's played with a lot of my teammates. We were a unit of guys that wanted to compete, and we're the greatest guys, right? You've seen it, and they all were selfless guys. They took the roles. So I would say that's why we had so much fun, is that so I wouldn't say I would just say a collective group that was guys that made it so much fun. And I think
it could be one of your teachers or one of your professors.
No, I would put it, the third thing was just, the whole family, which is the alumni that would come that were supportive. Mike French's of the world, Chris Kane's of the world, the list goes on and on, but just those three prongs were the secret sauce of why we had such a good experience, and why, and I'll give you an example. This weekend, Friday, we have a game at 8:30. The tailgate will start at 4 p.m. There'll be 10 of my closest teammates will all be there. Liz Rock, Joe Lizio will be starting the tailgate.
That guy, that's my guy, Liz Rock.
He will be having the greatest. He'll have crab legs. He'll roll into steaks. He'll grow into, and it's all.
Oh man, I'm part of the Cornell family. Oh,
right,
yeah.
Joe's Ryan's godfather, and he's the godfather of the family. And the point being is, all the teammates are going to be there, and they are so into it and intertwined with the team, and certainly Ryan. So that is.
How about the other guy, Soy Paint, your friend that does all the organizing for the summer camp, the summer team? Soy Paint, not Soy Paint. He's got two weird names. I can't.
He turned hair pie into soy.
Hair pie.
I don't even know how you connect those two.
Wow.
Timmy, I got a bone to pick with you, Timmy.
Wow.
Hey, listen, we know one thing about Mike. Mike basically had one chance to live. He would have died on the lacrosse field and absolutely been a happy man, because he loves lacrosse and he was playing. But a Navy SEAL was there to save him, which we're so lucky. And so
is this
we
true?
believe that, this is true story.
Oh my God.
For 12 minutes, he was on his heart, keeping it going because it was stopped. So we just have a little bit of, maybe we have the little, as you call it, Mike DiStefano love. We touch him. He was out for quite a while, maybe talking to God. So maybe we got the luck of Mike and Joe and the team to see.
I didn't know that. God bless him, man.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I can see the three guys here love the Cornell team. Why is that? I mean, why is that?
I can tell you this. Obviously I played with you guys in a number of different tournaments and traveled and did all of that. And it's hard to describe because you don't see it. You don't see it through all the lacrosse world. The connection, and particularly your teams, those teams of 87 and 88, those years, those guys on that team remain so connected and were able to do so many fun things as they continued to play. It really is a family. It's very unique, the Cornell situation. And I think that the French Kane years has a similar thing. And I think the Pennell years has a similar thing.
Oh, you're right. You're right, Steven.
And I think it all comes from the fabric of Richie Moran. And I think he bred that within the teams. And they just remain so close, and they stay together, and the Steelheads and those guys in that group. And it's like you have these pockets of groups that remain close, and then they're close all across the board as well. And it's really an amazing thing. I don't know. I don't think there's any alumni that really has it like Cornell.
That's why you invited me up to the summer program when we had that thing. And I had a drink out of the Cornell famous cup. Yep. Forever I was famous.
Right. You had the fireball.
Yeah, and then I'm sitting at a table. Vinny invites me. I said, Vinny, get the check. He says, what are you talking about? It's paper. There were 33 guys at the Asian.
He's talking about Florida, right? He's talking about Florida. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, listen, it's a big tent, right? Which I love, right? Steven, you play with us. We play with Jimmy Rogers, Villanova guys, Delaware. And, Smallsy's on the sidelines at Notre Dame with my brother and I, my son and Joe and Mike, and we're going to have the greatest time. The day before we played Notre Dame, we went and played golf with three foursomes. And you span, we had Kevin Cook to, my group, to Max Siebold, to Rob Fennell, to others. And then Jack Cascadden comes, he's hurt, limps in with a jacket and tie and comes and meets us for lunch. And we're all spanning those.
Other guys do it. It's not to take away from other alumni, but I just don't think they do it in the frequency.
Amazing, man. Amazing.
It's like a frequent thing.
And I think it's just we like each other. It's just we like spending time together. And from Johnny Glenn and Rob and the current guys, it's so. What I was saying is that this tailgate that's going to go on Friday from 4:00 to 8:30 start time is going to be amazing.
Shit, I want to make it, man. I'm going.
Smallsy, you're invited as a VIP, but I know you're going.
I got my wife to go. She's coming down to the ACC tournament. I got Cuse. I got Fish, aka Mike Leo. I grew up with him in the fish company.
Hey, listen, we don't talk about Syracuse. They're fun. They're the Syracuse of what we like. They're fun to watch. I mean, that Cornell.
Timmy, can they win it all in your estimation?
Absolutely.
Whoa!
Absolutely. They got a great goalie, great face-off, amazing offense, and
you know what? You know what would be Smalley's dream? This is Smalley's dream. I'm going to tell you right now what Smalley's dream is. You ready? Well, I'm going to. It's either it doesn't have to be playing each other. I mean, playing each other.
Go ahead, say it. He got it.
But both Cornell and Syracuse to be at Hofstra
and Maryland
finals would be unbelievable.
Yeah, that'd be it. That's going to be the biggest sellout in the history of lacrosse at Hofstra. If Cuse Cornell gets there, mark my words.
Well, there's a lot of teams I like. I don't know. I have a little allegiance to Penn State. Also, my brother played there, and my other brother played at UNC. They're not going to be into it, but hey, Army. Penn State, Cornell, Syracuse, Notre Dame is so fun to watch with the Kavanaugh guys. They're just so electric. Those are the teams. If they get into the Final Four, I know the four of us would be super, super excited.
This is the best year ever in lacrosse, guys. I'm going down to saying it. I'm a novice compared to you experts, but
hey, I hope it's all 1-goal games, right?
Yeah.
I think the quarterfinals,
exciting,
right?
Yeah.
And I can tell you one thing, which is kind of. Maybe it's ESPN Plus. The growth of the eyeballs of people that never watching lacrosse, and maybe just because Ryan's playing and Cornell's having a fun season, more people that I've never thought would even be watching lacrosse. And Tina's friends that never even watched lacrosse are saying they're watching games on Saturday. It's weird, but maybe it's just this. It's a feel good thing that people should be doing, right? The games have been. Awesome. It's
Timmy, you got another son that's going to go to Cornell. Is that correct?
I have a 10th grader, Tommy Boy. He's got the speed like his mom.
He's better than this other kid, right?
No, we don't make comparisons. One's better.
No, I'm saying he's better in. No, hold on. Excuse me. He's better in speed. I was told he's faster than this other kid.
Yes, he's the fast one in the family.
That's what I was talking about.
He's like his mom, and Ryan and I are quick. So I don't know what, but Tommy's a great kid. He would be lucky to go to Cornell, and that'll be decided this fall. But we shall see. But he's a great kid, great athlete.
Yeah, I know a few people. You want me to make a call?
Yeah, I would love that.
Other than yourself, I got a friend that makes more calls. I got to give a shout out to Vinny because I pick on him all the time. Underneath it all, like yourself, Timmy, he's done more underneath things than anybody in the game. Phone calls out of the blue all night long, 1 a.m. He gets calls. Vinny, can you get my son in? Can you get him here? Can I go to the Final Four? So I do got to give the guy a lot of credit. He's done a lot for people underneath the scoreboard. The kid really did. I like to pick on him because he is Vinny's son, though.
Yeah, but Vinny, one thing that Vinny does is he takes the guys that have the goals, that have the talent, and I think Vinny can mentor them to know what they need to do to get to the next level. And I think that's what I do with some kids is, challenge them to do certain things. And I think Vinny does an amazing job of mentoring guys still to this day. And I think that's invaluable, right, Vin?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the fun part of it. And then you go see him go have success, and makes you, like a proud, like Mikey Sowers said to me, I feel like a proud bigger brother, like about Ryan because he's doing well. And that is different. Now, Vinny, you feel like, a prouder, father or whatever, but you could speak to that, why it's
Yeah,
so
no, listen,
important.
it's always great to be able to impart different, um, knowledge of the game to young guys that can absorb it and then do it on the field. Because what I would tell them is, most people have a very small window with the enjoyment of the game. Not a lot of guys are going to play like we did and go playing in over 45 tournaments and do. We're diehards. So, but I tell them, you put this much time in, your parents are putting time in, get the most out of it that you can. You're going to establish relationships, friendships that might last a lifetime. But as far as just your lacrosse goes, you know, do the best you can and try to absorb it and spend the time learning the game. Because like I said, I mean, look, I go back, we laugh about it. I said when I was in college, you're talking late 70s. Last year I played in college was 1980. And if you went and watched warm-ups, when guys had their sweats on in warm-ups, you could still just watch them warming up and you could pick out the five best guys on each team. And there was like a drop off from those guys to the other guys doing line drills even. Now I watch warm-ups. I look at, I go to a game and I see guys and I'm like, wow, look at these guys, the way they're shooting and what they're doing. And they're doing these warm-ups. And I'm like, that kid looks great. And the guys are like, Vinny, he hasn't gotten in the game in 3 years. I'm like, what? I'm like, why? But it has all to do with IQ. It has all to do with understanding the game and being able to put it into effect on the field. So, maybe your son was not, maybe I'm wrong, but I didn't hear in terms of him being number one in that class and top five in that class and all those things coming out. I knew he was having success, but I didn't hear of him being like at that level. But he was a sleeper. He was coming up because of his knowledge. He was going to pass up a lot of these guys because some of these guys look like Tarzan and play like Jane. He's the opposite. He's if he's unassuming. If you saw him before the game walking in his tie and jacket, you'd say, "All right, we'll take care of this guy." Then he gets on the field and he's tearing you up, and that has to do with his IQ. So there's so much value in lacrosse IQ that I'm not so sure. I saw a Instagram video of Gino Auriemma coaching UConn women's basketball, and I saw him and he was saying the problem today is, and he was talking in a basketball sense, but I think it relates to lacrosse also. He's like, our kids just like want to play games. He says in Europe, they practice 6 days of the week and play one day. We're here, all we want to do is play games. He says, so we're not getting the knowledge, and that's why these guys are not as good as they could be. So, and I agree with that. There's a lot to be said about the learning curve of the sport.
No,
Timmy, what's the one thing?
Stevens made a living out of IQ.
Hey, Timmy,
When you look like
were you
Timmy,
smart in
when you
college?
look like us, you better do something else.
Timmy, were you smart? Timmy,
Yes.
were you smart in college, or did you also go to the landscape school?
I went to the hotel school, which might be getting elicit another response from you.
Hold on, Steven's gonna go down. Steven's gonna go down. I love Steven. By the way, Benny is great, but I love Steven. I always said that. I said it in Cornell.
That's your favorite speech from down in Florida.
I didn't know. I didn't know it's called the landscape school. I think it's got a different name, Smallsy.
Right.
But it's
Well,
awesome.
I couldn't. I couldn't remember it, so I had to. I wasn't trying to.
This is how we'll finish this off.
Yeah.
We're gonna finish this off with we'll pick. This is separate of our picks, but who is going to win the Ivy League championship? Who's going to have that trophy on Sunday, and who is going to win the ACC tournament?
I got that easy.
I'll go for if you want. You want to go
Cornell and Syracuse. I picked it.
Okay, he's going Cornell Syracuse. I think Cornell's going to win. I think the home field advantage should help them a lot. I think that's a big key there. In the ACC, I'm actually going to say Virginia. I think Virginia is going to come up. I think they're going to have something to prove. They can't limp in to the tournament, and I think they're going to come.
I can't wait for Vinny's pick. I can't wait. He's been only 50% on the picks. He can't pick nothing. He's barely beating me for the year.
We're not picking with a spread, so that helps.
Not with the spread.
Steven's been winning the whole year on the picks.
This is an addition.
But I'll go with. I think Cornell's going to win. I think they got momentum, and I think in the ACC, Notre Dame.
Oh, God Almighty! You better pick Duke. You better pick Duke for the ACC, Timmy. Don't give up on Brendan O'Neill. He's still the best player in the game.
I will go Cornell. Obviously, home field is big. And
go for Brennan. Go for Duke.
And I believe wholeheartedly that Notre Dame will win because I think the Kavanaughs.
Oh shit!
I think the Kavanaughs and the goalie are.
Wow.
That's my. But I hope Syracuse does well. I'd love to see them. I love in upstate. People think that we don't like Syracuse upstate. We love Syracuse. We love the way they play the game. That's this. Not when we play them, but so that's.
I look at them as the bad news bears in one sense. I think people want to beat them.
Who do you got, Smallsy? You got to pick it.
I just did. I got Cuse and your team.
All right. Wow.
Syracuse and your team winning it.
All right. Well, Steve, we spoke for an hour and a half, right? So that's normal for Vinny on the ride home from.
Exactly. 100-mile man.
Say that again, Timmy. Say that again. What is that?
And so if I'm my kid in prep school last year, which I would go almost 4 hours, I called Vinny. So that was like about an hour and a half of easy conversation. So we just
That's why they call him the 100-mile man. If you call him, he'll get you 100 miles home. You'll get you home.
All right, we got the funny section now. This is about the funny stuff. Can we do it, Vin? My stupid questions.
Oh, Lord. Go ahead.
Right,
what do you got?
Jimmy,
You got another question?
What was your late night snack after a game when you fucking lost and you're going to eat like a savage,
Yeah. Wrote it down and now who wrote this?
Like a savage. After we lost, I'd say pizza. I love pizza.
A whole pie?
No, actually, I know what you like. You used to like to go for that Sunday down in Florida, though.
Oh yeah.
He's a Sunday guy like Vinny.
Oh, yeah.
Oh shit!
I used to love Carvel Wednesday, 2 for 1. I get two Sundays and have them both.
And the last great question I'm going to get killed for, Timmy. When was the last time you changed the toilet paper in the house?
I'm a very hands-on guy in the house, so
Are you really? You helped Tina?
Yeah.
And I want to give a shout out to Tina also.
You couldn't wait to get that question out, could you?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's it. Smalls, you're really consistent. Hey guys, well thanks for the call.
All right, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Good luck to you and your son and the Cornell Big Red. We're going to be following for sure. We really are excited.
And we give our last shout out. One shout out to somebody out there in the lacrosse world that you love and you haven't spoken to in a while. Go ahead, Vinny. Who's your shout out?
Think about that. You hit me.
I'll go first then. I want to give a shout out to my man Metzger, Jim Metzger from Hofstra, for all the stuff that he's done behind the scenes for his nephew Pennell and you and everybody. And what say you, Stephen?
I'll give a shout out to Jimmy Bruger, Long Island Lacrosse Club teammate, but also a teammate at Post. I saw him this weekend. Got to spend at Pat McCabe's girls team's game. He came up for the weekend. Got to spend a little bit of time with him. So my shout out goes to Jimmy Bruger, my man.
All right, Vincenzo.
I'm going to give a shout out to
Mike O'Neill. Say it.
I'm going to give a shout out to John D. Tommaso and to Tommy Martello, who are coaching at Southside. I think their record is 13-1 right now. They're having one of their best years. They're really excited about it. And in particular, to Tommy Martello, whose daughter scored 6 goals on 6 shots, leading to the ACC championship in women's lacrosse.
Timmy?
Mine's pretty easy. I'm going to give a shout out to, which is kind of, I think all of us, Paul Schmoller's wife came to the game at Dartmouth, and it was so great to see her. So it just made a lot of memories of Paul, who was so important from my years at Cornell, post Cornell, and I know these guys. So Linnell and Shamola was great, and it just made me feel that Paul's spirit was with us. So it was pretty awesome.
If
That's
those
awesome.
if those
All right.
Cornell goalies can channel Schmoles, I think you got a national championship ready.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I want to give a shout out to Steady Eddie, his father, who supported their family for many, many years, and Timmy and all his great brothers and family. And that's it. Big hand for Timmy Goldstein.
Thank you for the shout out on Steady Eddie. He is definitely the
Steady
number
Eddie,
one.
man. And
Steady
Big
Eddie.
Dennis, baby.
Let's
God
go,
bless,
boys.
guys.
All right.
See ya.
Gotta go, man. Gotta go.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.